I wouldn't say that.
How was it? I saw your little Instagram down Brighton Beach.
Oh, it's lovely down there. I haven't spent a day down at the beach, like
Yeah.
all day for a long, long time.
Do you know what? I think this is what lockdowns ended up doing. Is it makes because I think living in Brighton, obviously I don't anymore, but you kind of take it for granted.
Oh yeah.
So you never go down the beach normally, and then it becomes a 9 weeks inside or whatnot, and you're like, yeah, do you know what? I'm going to go down the beach today.
I was even out on a kayak.
A kayak, or out obviously at sea.
Yeah, out at sea.
In Brighton.
Yeah. Yeah, it was actually lovely.
That's mad.
Well, I got mugged off a bit actually. Went to, and I'm not naming any names because obviously there's a lot of people who listen and they might think this is sponsored, but the company I went to hire the kayak from, we wanted to originally do the paddle boards.
Okay.
It was a little bit windy, so we get down there and they're like, the typical like Australian beach people who run the place, like, you've been out on kayaks before? And we're like, oh no, I haven't done it. And one of the people we're with, she was like, yeah, I've done it before. And it was like, yeah, because I wouldn't recommend going out today if you haven't done it before. I was like, what do you mean? Like, it's not that windy. It's like, yeah, everyone's like getting blown away. They're getting blown away. So, if you haven't done it before, we're not going to let you out on it. And I was like, right. So can we get it was like, yeah, you can get a kayak, mate. Get a kayak, it'll be fine. So we get a kayak and like we're going out and it's absolutely fine. And like there wasn't that much wind. I just felt a bit annoyed about it, really, to be honest. Just wanted to go on a paddleboard and he wouldn't let me.
I thought you were going to say that you like managed to get on it and mug them off or something.
Nah, he mugged me off, proper. Proper mugged off. Disappointing.
Was there a lot of people doing it? Or
yeah, there was a fair amount. Yeah, I saw a couple. Saw your mate, Jack Barnes, Insight Bleep. Yeah, he was down there.
Shout out. Is that a shout out? Is it?
Yeah, rocked up with his paddleboard, and I just thought.
Did you speak to him?
Yeah, he said all right, and
did he mention the podcast?
Did he? No, he didn't. We've had a lot of good feedback though.
Well, that does bring us onto it. To be fair,
very nice.
I was surprised. I think, it's been pleasantly surprising, to be fair.
You got a lot of nice compliments.
Did I? Look, I'll be honest with you, mate. I haven't really seen these.
Yeah.
Message me about this.
I think, you've got a lot of people think you're very articulate. I think they can tell you've been in this position before. That's what they say.
I haven't. I don't know where all this apparent experience has come from.
Well, it's Mr. Talksboy, isn't it? That's where it's come from.
Thanks, mate.
Probably me. It's probably me. I'm more common, I'm
you created loads of fake accounts, have you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Out of the views we got, about 80% of them were me.
Well, do you know what? That does bring us onto it because there was a couple of views, to be fair, on YouTube, but we also got a dislike, which I've got to say means that me and you, we now have haters.
Yeah.
I think this is the point in time that you've always wanted to get to. I didn't think it would happen so soon, but
I'm absolutely glad you brought it up, mate. Come forward, whoever you are.
So you haven't looked? Can you not look it up?
No, you can't see the likes and dislikes.
That's
yeah, I know. Which is lucky. But when we can afford lawyers, we will be getting on the case because that's not on.
No, but genuinely, we do really appreciate it.
Yeah, massively.
Seeing as we've sent it out on your links page, so you get about 7 different options to listen to the podcast.
Yeah.
I feel a bit cringy saying like and subscribe and all of that, but honestly, dislike if you want to.
Yeah, do anything you want.
We've taken it quite well. We're not too upset about it.
I had a wobble. Is this really right? Is this the right thing for me?
Is it? Start doubting yourself.
Is this the right career move? And I thought, do you know what? Stick it out.
Before we get going, because today's episode is going to be a little bit different, where obviously during the week it's been announced that the Premier League will be returning on the 17th of June. So we just want to get stuck into that with kind of all the different topics around that. I just wanted to find out, and I want you to say yes to this, because I'd be very disappointed if you haven't been. Have you been watching the Danish league?
Yes, I watched the first half of Esbjerg versus Aalborg this morning. I don't know why I
Fantastic.
said it in an English accent when I can
Are
speak.
you? Come on, you are the Danish prince. I would like
Yeah.
to hear some. Do you know
Um,
what? I always remember you would never speak Danish for me. You would never do it. So if I
it's
put
that
you on the
it's
spot now
there's that
to
cringe
turn some of
thing.
those dislikes into
It's
likes,
like, I mean, the disappointing thing was we didn't have any listeners in Denmark, so we need
go worldwide.
yeah, we need to push the boat out a bit there. But no, it's that cringe thing when people are, oh, say something, and it's like, what?
Give me a little synopsis of the match that you watched earlier in Danish.
Ja, der var mange muligheder, der skulle have blevet. Nah, I don't even know, mate. I'm not entertaining it.
I'm going to clip that and I'm going to put it into Google Translate for like the audio version and find out what you actually just said because I reckon that was not Danish.
Nah, it was it. Yeah, I don't know what to say, mate. I don't know what to say.
You get a bit shy there, don't you?
It's just, yeah, it's just
Look,
weird, isn't it? Because
the
it's not
fact
even
that
like something you hear every day, like Spanish or French. Like people would be like, "Oh yeah." To be fair, that does sound like Spanish or French.
well, I for one, I'm incredibly jealous, and I mean that because I'm an ignorant English person who has never really attempted to learn a second language. So the fact that you are bilingual is certainly to be applauded.
Thanks, mate. I appreciate that. It's very kind of you to say.
Well, look, you've got the seal of approval from me. So I think we've waffled on enough. I mean, I would like to talk about the fact that one of your Danish teams put up a 40-meter screen or something. Have you
Yeah,
seen that? I got everyone to watch via Zoom.
I well, yeah, I heard it. Your Talksport friends got one of their supporters on the radio
They
to
did.
talk about it. I heard
Yes.
that. Yeah, no, it's and also my home team, Vejle, they were playing this afternoon, and it wasn't on the main television, but I'm pretty sure that my grandfather said that you could buy it and watch it somehow. So they're still allowing people to view, which is nice.
Good.
But
Well, I feel as though, well, we're going to get onto this, but seeing as the Premier League's back, I think BT Sport might have fucked up a little bit, seeing as they went for the every single game of the Bundesliga on, now the Prem's back, no one's going to care about it. So we can, instead of the Bundesliga, which we spoke about briefly last week, we can now adopt the Danish Super League. So
that is our new
that's
subdivision.
and
And it
do you know
was
what?
it was actually the second division to come back in Europe. So
Exactly. So we don't like to go with the trendsetters. We will go with the slightly different.
well, there we go.
Right. No, but genuinely onto it now. There's so many different strands about the league starting because obviously we did this last week and I was pretty up for it and could see that it was going to happen. And I know that you had quite a lot of reservations about it. I think the main question for you is, do you feel that it is right that we will, bearing in mind we know what everything that's happening in society, that we start on June the 17th?
No.
Please elaborate on your answer.
That's the simple answer, and the reasonings are just endless. They're endless as the strands of the questions we could talk about are endless as well. It just doesn't sit right with me.
Okay, give me one.
First of all, obviously the new lockdown regulations tomorrow coming in that we can now see up to 6 people.
Go for some pings, yeah.
On the political side, compared to where, the footballing world is apparently allowed to have full contact training or whatever it is. So they're in full contact training, the whole squad. They then come into the stadium, they get changed in the changing rooms. They go out onto the pitch. Everyone's up in their faces. The bench is still sat 2 meters apart.
Mm-hmm.
Weird. Why is that happening?
Well,
Pardon?
It's purely for, as we've seen in the Bundesliga, because you're right in what you're saying, but they're literally doing that for show.
Exactly.
This, what I see is a bit of a politically correct world now. We're effectively doing something it's the same as, social distance celebrations. We're doing that to be seen to be doing the right thing, when obviously it's rubbish. It's
Sure.
irrelevant. You are coming into.
That's my first weird thing that I just think is
Well,
silly.
just quickly on that, because the bit I'd let you elaborate on is the fact that these players will be tested twice a week. So for me, it's irrelevant if they're coming into close contact because these people are confirmed to not have coronavirus.
and and this is true, and that's a fair point, and there is going to be, it's going to be safer to be in contact in that environment than it is going to be anywhere else in the country, and
Yeah.
that's understandable. But what are the 2 days that they get tested on?
I don't know what days.
Is it
I know the figures or the facts or whatever, they came out Saturday evening, obviously yesterday for us, and I think maybe Tuesday or Wednesday. So it's
we'll
obviously
say it's maybe like a Monday and a Friday.
okay. Which sounds probably about right. Yeah.
So, you know, they contract it on a Tuesday, and then they've
Mm.
got Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then up until Friday, and then Saturday when they find out, there's still 4 days where they could be infecting people, all that kind of stuff. So the fact that, yes, it is safer because there is tests, it still doesn't change the fact that you can still contract it and pass it on just as easy as anyone else.
I think you're onto something there because some people have picked up that there is a big hole in this and that could theoretically happen. However, if you think about this first weekend, and we'll get onto the scheduling a little bit later, but you can play. These first games are going to be on a Wednesday, so we all get back. They're the games in hand. But that first weekend, we're going to have a Friday night, 4 on the Saturday, 4 on the Sunday, and a Monday night. But then we're going to have midweek games. And as far as I'm aware, I haven't had this confirmed, but I think that will be every midweek. So say you play on the Saturday, you will then be playing on either the Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. But why that's important is you're not playing Saturday to Saturday. So when you're saying that we'll be tested on Monday to Friday, we will then have days off because as a player you're going to need rest days. You're not, and say that you're playing every 4 or 5 days. That means you're only really going to be training twice before your next game. So although you're right at the moment, I personally feel as though once we begin to get into the flow of games, you're actually going to be tested before a game. So say that's a Saturday, you're tested before then, and say you're going to have the Sunday off, you go back to training Monday, you'll be tested Monday, then you'll be tested your next training day because you're not training as much as you are at the moment. Say you're then tested on the Tuesday and then you play on the Wednesday, and obviously you're tested before a game as well. So then, because there's going to be matches, that are coming a lot quicker, it means the testing is going to be more regular as well. So that's my answer to your point.
That's a fair point, and I think it is just one of those things where, if people, well, then the question is, so if they do test positive, what happens then?
Yeah, I think I can't remember, but we may have touched on it last week. And the way it's kind of gone in the Bundesliga, the second division, was tough shit because Dynamo Dresden had 2 positive tests and they just didn't have 2 players for the game. Now, in theory, I can't see that working. If in the Premier League, take, for example, a Watford, take, for example, Troy Deeney, if he's then out, I just don't think that's going to happen. So theoretically, we will then.
Is that your cat?
We will then see games being postponed.
Yeah.
And, I think that will have to be an eventuality that the Premier League will have to plan for.
And if even one game has to get postponed, that's too many. Because in my opinion, if there is still that risk, then how can the season go ahead? Like, how can we restart again when there's still that risk? And I think, it comes on to the point with the whole Liverpool situation where, they're talking about the congregation of fans, and, obviously it's not just Liverpool, it's every club, but predominantly Liverpool because of their imminent Premier League win.
Yep.
If they're having to worry about neutral venues and fans not coming together because it's not safe, then surely it can't go ahead, because that worry is not going to go anywhere. There's going to be fans that are going to congregate wherever you play the game. Yes, maybe if you move to a neutral venue, there wouldn't be as many, but there would still be a lot. You know, Liverpool fans don't just live in Liverpool. They're all from Asia and all that kind of thing.
Yeah,
So
yeah, of course. And I think it is a big
that was a dig at Liverpool.
goes on to why I think, and Andros Townsend said this a couple of days ago, that neutral venues is not going to work because you don't need it. Now, when Liverpool win the league, and say it does happen against Everton, that means Arsenal would have to take points of Man City on the game on the Wednesday. Say that did happen, say they're going into that game. In my opinion, there is no chance that Liverpool fans would congregate outside either stadium and all watch it on like their phones at like different time, who can get the best stream. You'll watch the game in your house and then you'll go outside.
Yeah.
But the problem is, if the Premier League restarts, as I think you've just said, you will not be able to get rid of that. People are going to congregate. I personally feel it would only be in that eventuality. Maybe if a team stayed up, but I think that's a bit weird. Perhaps if the Norwich stayed up, they'd all go into the city centre. But certainly, look, Liverpool's going to be the main one. But I think it is inevitable. So I understand that you're saying that if we bring football back, we are then creating that. But I just think that, yes, football will cause that. But if we just, look at the photos that you've seen from this weekend, lockdown is over for so many people in their mindset. They are congregating. People are getting together. You see photos down, I'm sure when you were down Brighton Beach, how busy.
Massive groups of 15 people,
Exactly. So by the time this happens, okay, say Liverpool weren't able to win it on the 19th of June. Okay, it's 2.5 weeks, which is a while away, but it's also quite soon as well. But a lot can change. If you take 2.5 weeks from back where we are now, we're in a much better position than we were back then, obviously, because we are progressing well as a country. So by the time we get to, say it's the 19th of June, I personally feel that although mass gatherings of Liverpool fans to celebrate the league title would obviously be a negative thing and likely to help spread the coronavirus, I still kind of can't help but feel that we are going towards this. Everything at the moment, everything we're seeing in the news is all about getting to a stage. Elderly people, the most vulnerable, being let out tomorrow for the first time. That wasn't even meant to happen until we got to level 1 on the government guidelines. So everything's positive. Even though there's some people, like, for example, Piers Morgan, going against that and saying there is actually a lot of negativity still here. Just think, by the time we actually get to this eventuality, it will seem a lot more normal because it is going to happen.
For sure. And I mean, you're right, 2.5 weeks is a long time. And, as much as it pains me to say it, Liverpool should be able to celebrate, the fact that they've won a title, and, it'd be obviously devastating if they couldn't do that. And I think you're right. And hopefully by then the repercussions, I mean, obviously you've seen all of the people in America protesting and everything, that's not socially distanced, all that kind of stuff. So whether, we can take from that whether there's going to be on the back of that an increase in America, and then maybe we can see whether that will open our eyes to what could happen potentially.
Just quickly, I mean, I'm not sure if you've seen the photos and the video from London today, and it's been a solidarity protest, and it's literally mind-boggling. You will probably see as many fans outside Anfield as you would have seen today in London congregating. So
for sure, and I think you're absolutely right. It's just gonna be a case of we're gonna have to see where we're at the time and prepare either way. But what happens then if there is a spike in the next week or two or whatever? Then you've got to think.
No, exactly that. And this has now been passed by the government as of yesterday. So it is all systems go, in effect. But what's quite important for me is that, the head police to do with Project Restart have identified these 6 games, which could potentially be 12 games, which they think should be played at a neutral venue. But then the Merseyside police said, no, we are more than capable of staging these games. So it's contrasting information immediately, but fans are staying away in the Bundesliga. Now, I think said before, I've gone to Dortmund's ground, and it is away. It's out the way. It's not at Anfield. It's not in the city centre. But like I've said, it's going to happen. But for me, the most confusing thing is it's the games that they've selected. Like Man City at home to Newcastle. I mean, by the time that game happens, right, Liverpool probably going to have won the league. So it's a team that can only finish second. By the way, something that's going to be very interesting is next week, on the 8th of June, Man City have their appeal about whether their European ban is going to be upheld. So there's a chance it'll be a team that are already not going to be playing in the Champions League next year against a team that will hopefully be safe by then. Mid-table team. It's like, I just don't see how that, and it's Man United at home against Sheffield United.
Yeah.
It just feels as though those games were selected, and apparently it's because there's been fan violence in the past. That's why they were selected. So to me, it suggests it's more of a blanket approach by the police chief commissioner to say, look, these are the games that we've had problems at. We're going to highlight these.
Yeah.
But then, like the police in the certain counties, are like, well, hold on a second. We're going to be absolutely fine. I will be surprised, and this could be way off the mark, if any game is played at a neutral venue. Because I personally feel as though even one of them, there's just going to be such a... Like, these North London derbies, they're in the other 6 that haven't been announced, which could potentially happen. But these teams, now the league's going to actually recommence, they've got so much riding on the rest of the season.
Yeah.
Arsenal, Spurs, Chelsea, like it will be so. And if you're playing that, they're saying the London Stadium.
I was going to bring that. I mean, how ridiculous is that?
But it's still in London.
It's down the road 5 minutes.
It's just
5 minutes down the road.
You know what I didn't mention is Liverpool Everton's meant to be playing in Manchester. Like,
I know. And this is it. It won't happen. You know, I think they're trying to obviously be really cautious. Fair enough, but you know, it's not like it's being moved to the other end of the country. They're literally saying, let's move it down the road. What's the point? You know, what is the point? And I think it will just undermine, and it will just cause more backlash than it'd be worth for something that the place inside in the place where it's being held, whether it's Liverpool, whatever, they're saying that they can handle it, you know?
Yeah, and I just feel as though that they are certain things that are being said, a bit similar to like social distance celebrations that we spoke about earlier, that for me, they're just kind of being said when in reality, it would not be like that.
Yeah.
I still feel as though, you know, all of that stuff will not happen. But something that I just literally cannot understand. I understand that fans will not be going to the games. That's patently obvious. So you're going to miss the fact that you can't go watch your football team. But for 92 separate games to be broadcast at separate times on both TV and radio, I think is probably the most mental thing I've ever heard in broadcasting history. Because, like, what stage have we got to now where we think that our appetite for watching or listening to football is so high that think how many perceived boring games. We haven't even factored in the championships coming back. Championship's going to be on all the time. You know, it's I just can't get my head around.
Yeah.
And you know, I think it could actually work quite well in terms of stopping the spread of coronavirus. Because if you've got 4 games a day on Saturday and Sunday, you're not going out and your evenings are taken care of.
Exactly.
It's actually going to be quite. No wonder the government wanted football.
And that could definitely be a reason as to why there is such a hectic schedule and keeping people indoors as much as possible.
But what I want to ask you is, and you're right in that, and I think there is definitely an element of that, but would you watch all 92, or would you just really start selecting them? Pick and choose in game?
I mean, I don't really have much to do, but I still don't have time to watch 92 games. So, I think it's, I'm sure there'll be some mad people that actually watch every single game, but
Hmm.
I'm not going to watch some boring mid-table game. You know, I'll watch obviously the games involving Everton and exciting games, whether it's down the bottom of the table or,
Yeah.
you know, other things like that. But I'm not going to watch every single game.
No,
Are you?
I don't think anyone would seriously watch it. But why that surprises me is because I've enjoyed the Bundesliga coming back. I don't think you have really, to an extent.
Mixed reviews. I mean, I don't really bother watching it that much now. I mean,
Yeah.
now that I know, I'd rather watch Danish football and then the Premier
Mm.
League's going to be back. So, I've always kept half an eye on the Bundesliga, but I'm not going to now sit through 3 games and, you know,
Well, I think obviously Bayern winning that game against Dortmund kind of killed it because there went the title challenge. But the reason I bring it up is pretty much to a man. Everyone that I've asked hasn't really enjoyed it. And they keep on saying what they haven't enjoyed is the fact that there's no fans. Now, obviously, we can't help that in this current situation. But I'm just wondering what the long-term effects of, broadcasting 92 games could actually be. Because if we don't like it, if fans start to not like it and they're like, look, we're not enjoying this, there's no fans. I thought the Bundesliga has been quite slow at times. Now, I'm not sure if the Premier League is going to be like that. We can get onto the injury side of this in a second and the logistics around it. But I am genuinely interested to see in the future, or even during this season whilst it's still on, if people just, I've got a mate who genuinely is not even excited that it's back. He says it won't be the same.
Yeah,
And to be honest, a lot is riding on this. So I'm just
it won't.
genuinely interested to see how much people are going to consume this.
For sure. It 100% won't be the same. I was keen to check in on the Bundesliga and see just kind of from a quality point of view. And I remember saying last week how poor I thought it had been.
Mm.
Teams like Schalke. I mean, what the hell have they been doing?
They've had a
They have
strange.
an absolute nightmare, and the results are weird. There's the thing where the stats of team. I know a few teams have now won at home over this last match week, but it won't be the same. And I think, yes, the Premier League is obviously a better standard, rounded, like in a rounded perspective, but for sure it won't be as far. It won't be straight back to what it was before. I think there is going to be that kind of weird. There's going to be weird results. There's going to be weird games, maybe low scoring, maybe high scoring. But again, the thing with the fans is probably the main thing that people won't enjoy. And I mean, I think, we spoke about it in the week, and I was saying about how certain broadcasters had obviously been playing out the sounds through the broadcasting. You don't seem to like that, do you?
Well, I haven't experienced it, but I saw that film because obviously we spoke about it last week and you brought it up, and I was like, I literally watched the whole of that game and did not think that they were playing sound effects. So maybe I've gone a bit crazy. But no, I apparently it's an American thing, and obviously your Danish TV must be in some part streamed for America or just use the same effects. And the reason I'm going on about this 92 games is I will not obviously watch them all, but I can't wait. I love it. I genuinely love watching football, and I will watch anything. I'm very sad like that, where I will pretty much, even if it was Burnley Palace, if I'm at a loose end, I will put it on and watch it. But I like it to be authentic, and I like it to be real. So I don't want to hear fake crowd
Yeah.
effects.
Well,
Very
I mean,
interesting.
I think I I personally I did enjoy it, and then kind of thought, well, actually, no, because, we like kind of delving a bit deeper into the games and the mindsets of the players that we once could have been, and hearing the ball being kicked and the talking and things like that, even if it is in German and I don't know what they're saying, that's more fascinating to me than hearing fake crowds that are delayed. When a shot goes over the bar and then 1 second later it's like, ooh, you know what I mean? It's not the same, is it? And I think,
But apparently, what I was going to say, they've done it in the Australian Rugby League and on Sky. Apparently, it's amazing. and they've like matched up the crowd noise up really well. It just sounds really good. But like you said, and I'm not up for it. I think I said last week, when it's going to actually be the Premier League, I'm actually obviously going to be able to understand what they're saying, but understand more about players and their mannerisms. You know, one player you think might be really quiet actually turns out to be really moany. A bit like you. You think you'd be quite quiet, but actually,
I can't argue.
But like, you know, going at the refs and that, and
yeah,
I find like stuff like that very interesting.
For sure. I am excited to see how it is going to be, and I'm excited to watch and see what it's like and what the players, how their bodies are going to, you know, be after that period of time, not training to what they were before. You know, it's going to be fascinating to see, and it will be different and it will be weird, and you know, maybe it'll just be one of those things that we look back at and think, oh, that was weird, wasn't it?
Well, we started this conversation with you saying that you're against it, basically, and that football shouldn't be coming back. So throughout the course of this conversation, do you now kind of see, firstly, why it is, but secondly, you sound excited for it? So,
I mean, I've never not been excited for it, because obviously, you know, I love football as well. I want it to be normal, but you know, we're not living in a normal world at the moment, and so it's just, I've got reservations for that, and the primary reason that football is coming back is because of money. And like I said earlier, it doesn't sit quite right with me the way that everything is. But that's not to say that, you know, I won't sit there and enjoy it and hope that Everton can get into the Europa League, at least.
As long as you've got more away games than home games, you might be all right.
Yeah, maybe.
But yeah, I mean, you know, that is the other side to it. You just briefly touched on it. I've seen quite a lot about the 25% potentially more chance of picking up injuries. I've heard someone today talking about Achilles injuries and stuff like that. But also, what hasn't really been talked about is we're going to be playing games obviously on the Saturday, and they start at 12:30. And I think on Sunday they might start at 12. But it's hot at the moment, and we don't normally play football in the summer. So that's a whole other element to it. You know, we are obviously, apart from major tournaments, we play in the winter. So once again, that's going to be interesting.
And another interesting point that I saw was that in terms of now that Germany has started a couple of weeks before we have, and obviously the Champions League is due to be completed as well, there's going to be a few week period where the Bundesliga has ended and the Premier League is still playing, where Bayern are then waiting several weeks longer without football to play that leg that they've got to play. So, you know, it's just confusing, and it's just a hard situation all round, you know.
Yeah.
People are always going to miss out here and there, and there's going to be it's going to be unfair for some people and kind of work out better for other people, I think. And it's just how it is.
But I think you've kind of summed up this conversation perfectly, because that is it. That is just how it is. And no one wanted it to be like this. We have had this situation, I don't want to say forced upon us, but, you know, it did kind of come out of the blue a little bit, really. I mean, I think I said to you that I was in Prague the weekend of the last round of games when Newcastle played Southampton. I remember watching it when I was out there, and it was in Italy, and games were getting cancelled left, right, and centre. And, you know, being a bit arrogant, maybe. I just don't know. I just didn't. I think it's more disbelief that it was going to happen. And it did happen. And, you know, obviously we've been in this for so long. And the reason I bring that up is it's because, you know, this is the situation that we're in. And as you say, we are now going to make the best out of this situation.
Yeah.
So football will restart, in my opinion, rightfully. And I just genuinely cannot wait, because things will be weird and there will be shocks, and people are going to be genuinely pissed off when they get relegated or miss out on the top six. And to be honest, I think over the course of the next week, in the next episode, we're probably going to look a bit more at the EFL. And obviously, seeing as we're technically a non-league podcast, we should probably look at the non-league as well.
Probably.
But there's so much uncertainty with all of that. And I'll be honest with you, the Premier League has to restart to give those clubs the best possible opportunity of staying alive.
For sure.
And for me, that's what comes above everything else.
Yeah.
They give 140 million to the EFL, which then gets distributed, but that's going to have to be upped, isn't it? We're going to have to look.
Sure. And I think the Premier League chief executive has just said in the last day or two that at the moment they're just concentrating on the Premier League finances and things like that. And, fair play. But there's so many clubs in the EFL who are they just don't know what's going to happen. They could be at home thinking, are we even going to have a club to come back to next season? And for me, that's another reason why it just doesn't sit right with me, because I feel like the Premier League should have more of a responsibility to ensure that the whole football league is certain to return.
Yeah, I agree, and I think, like I said, we'll get stuck into it next week properly. But on that, I think that we've shown with Bury going that there is no humility when it comes to it, because they went with a whimper, really. The think of it, they're around Manchester. Got so many big clubs in that area.
Yeah.
What would it have taken? But this is what I'm saying. We need to readdress the way that, we do things within football industry in this country, because we cannot continue the way that we're going. But in order to do so, the Premier League has to return. And it is. And I feel as though that we've spoken about it long enough here that I think we can understand that it's not going to be perfect, and the points that you raised about the testing, for example, is very important. But the reason that I'm quite happy, another reason, is that someone like Troy Deeney was so outspoken, and he now says he's going to go back to training. And Danny Rose is now back in training. So these people are being placated by, I think Dean even sat down with Chris Whitty, to be honest, but they have been placated in a way that they are happy to now return, and they feel safe in the environment in which they're going to do it. So if that's good enough for them, then it's good enough for me. And I am, as I've said, genuinely looking forward to
finish with this, because I think quite a few people did enjoy the quiz last week, and we'll bring a different angle to it today. So Ollie, I'm going to ask you a question, and there's going to be multiple players that are in the answer, and you just have to name those players. And the one I'll go with today is, can you name the last 5 Ballon d'Or winners other than Messi and Ronaldo? And don't take too long, because otherwise it's cheating. You have to do it as quick as you can.
Right. Luka Modric.
Yes.
Cannavaro.
Check.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Not Petr Cech, no.
Nah, not Petr Cech.
Right, giving me a free one there. Kaka.
Correct.
I'm gonna say the other Ronaldo.
Incorrect.
Am I just allowed 5 guesses here?
Yeah, I think.
So I get it right.
No, I think you only allowed 5 guesses. Actually, that's good.
I kind of shot myself in the foot there.
Yeah, that's a good idea, actually. So yeah. So no.
I think Henri might have won it.
3 out of 5 isn't bad.
I thought wrong.
Yeah. Ronaldinho.
Give me the years as well, please. So Ronaldinho, what year? Do you have the years?
I don't have the year on me, no.
Years. That's what was throwing me, because I couldn't really think.
And Shevchenko.
Oh, it's never Shevchenko. I would never have got that. No chance.
Well done if you did.
It's a glaring mistake, it must be said. But
well, I'll throw in a bonus one then, and this one I do have years for.
Brilliant.
So the last 5 English players to place top 3 in the Ballon d'Or.
The last 5?
Mm-hmm.
Lampard.
Correct. 3rd in 2005.
Gerrard.
2nd in 2005.
Michael Owen.
Won it in 2001. How? Isn't it mad that he has a Ballon d'Or? No offense, Michael, but...
Just quickly, apparently, I've heard this story before. When he won it, he just got presented it on the side of the pitch at a Liverpool game. Because back then, it wasn't a big deal. Like, it was a big deal. It was just like one of your, like, Player of the Month trophies.
Yeah. It's crazy, isn't it? Right, so you got two more,
Hmm.
and they're pre-millennium, to give you a clue.
Oh, thank you. Wow.
Yeah, you're welcome. That was nice of me, actually.
It's not going to help, but it
Nah.
means I don't know John Terry. Do you know what I mean? Shearer.
Third in 1996.
Yeah. Gaza.
No, the last one was David Beckham, second in 1999.
That's interesting, that, because you wouldn't really
Yeah.
think. Would you think that? I wouldn't really
Well,
think.
this is. I mean, I had this conversation again recently. I think.
It wasn't on a rival podcast, was it, for chance?
Just no, this wasn't. I haven't been invited on any yet, which is strange. Beckham just terribly underrated, you know.
Yeah,
And
no, 100%.
he was actually that good. So
The reason I was surprised about '99 though is because that's the time when he scored that halfway line goal against Wimbledon.
yeah,
I think.
yeah, it might
Yeah.
be. Well, obviously they won the treble.
Well, I think so anyway, but I've always felt as though when I've seen the highlights of him scoring that, I've always thought he was quite young. Obviously, I know Michael Owen when he was really young, but I thought quite young, still kind of coming through kind of thing. But obviously not.
They did win the treble in that year as well, to be fair.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. In that year, Roy Keane, I know he didn't play in the final, but come on.
Yeah.
I think he'd be more up for it, even Scholes. Is that the end of your quiz?
That's the end. There was. I mean, I do have another one, but I won't give it away now. You know, we'll save some suspense to get people to.
So you in the next week, you're not going to be able to think of something else. You're going to hold back something for this week until next week.
What?
You got so stumped by that.
I don't get it.
So you have something right now which you could easily use, and then think of something over the course of the.
Yeah,
next
I could absolutely, but this one's a bit longer.
And hold it back.
No, I've just got a little black book of quiz
questions.
Don't
I haven't actually addressed this with you. I thought it'd be best to wait until we did have a podcast, simply for the fact that I know we had some interaction, shall we say, with our listeners with your lack of sporting knowledge. Now, would you like me to bring back the Wikipedia game, or are you going to admit defeat and the fact that your mid-2000s football knowledge? How about I do really obvious players, just to boost your egos?
No.
You go? Or... We'll
try again. Let's try again next week.
Try again next week,
and if I don't get it, we'll get a new presenter.
Well, you present that. You present the show, don't you? You've got it on record, so I think it's very much, as we established last week, it's your baby.
This is very true. But Ollie, look, absolute pleasure as always, and have a good week, I guess.
You're signing off like a pro.
We are pro.